Starting and running a business is hard, but you don't have to do it alone. Whether you're an established business owner or thinking about starting a side hustle to earn extra income, I am here to teach you how to show up as your unfiltered self, level up your business, and thrive as a mompreneur. Let's embrace the chaos and start enjoying the journey together. I'm Amy Traw, and you're listening to the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. Welcome back into the Motivated Mompreneur Podcast. Today I am chatting with Andrea Sager, and we are talking all things legal and protections that we need to have as small business owners. And so many times we think that we don't need these things because I'm just a solopreneur. I'm just a small business owner. So that's actually not the case. And we're going to unpack that and dive into all things. But with that being said, Andrea, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you so much for having me, Amy.
I am so excited to dive in today because I personally have used Andrea's products because she is just amazing. She was recommended to me by a fellow business owner who I very highly regard. And I'm like, okay, if she's saying that Andrea's products are worth it, like sign me up. And they are so user-friendly. And I just have so much more peace of mind knowing that all of those protections, those privacy policies, terms, conditions, all that stuff that we overlook is in place. So, Andrea, thank you so much for taking time out of your crazy schedule to connect with us today.
Thank you. I'm so excited about this.
Yay. So before we dive in, tell us more about yourself, who you are and what you do.
Yeah, so I am a mom of two. I have a 4-year-old. She just turned 4 literally on not even a week ago. And my son just turned 6 in February, and I absolutely adore them. Everything I do is for them. I just released a book, but I have gone through the whole transformation of being a small business owner. I worked in big law. I was a small business attorney, and now I'm the CEO and founder of a legal tech company, Legalpreneur, which is aiming to provide more legal resources and services to small business owners and actually training the attorneys to adequately serve those small businesses. So I've done the whole transformation of being on every side of the problem, and I just love that I get to be doing what I'm doing today.
And that's what I love about you. It's that you've been through it.
Yeah.
You know what it's like to run a business. You have kids too while you're navigating this business because you're growing it. There's a lot of things going on right now behind the scenes.
My gosh, yes.
I follow along and it's like, oh my gosh, all the plates are spinning. So what would you say is one of the most common mistakes that you see small business owners making time and time again, especially solopreneurs?
Yeah, the number one mistake is trademarks. That is the number one thing that most people are like, oh, and I'm too small, I don't need to worry about it. And I mean, ultimately, it's just thinking they're too small to worry about any of the legal protection. But what I see small business owners get in trouble with the quickest is trademarks. And so I just don't want people to think they're ever too small, because it's best to just put that protection up in place up front, because that's going to take you so far down the line, and it's going to cost you 100 times less money by implementing the protection up front instead of waiting until there's an issue. Because most people, most small businesses, they're like, oh, legal is scary, it's expensive, it's intimidating, and they just keep putting it off on the back burner until it really becomes a prevalent issue. But the reason they think it's so scary and intimidating is because they wait to take care of it until there's an issue. And so my mission in life, I know my purpose in life is to help small businesses see that, look, if you just do a little bit of work up front, that's going to take you so far down the line, and you're most likely never going to run into legal trouble.
Oh, so good. And that peace of mind is worth it. Just being proactive instead of reactive, which I think it's something that we shove to the back burner because we do tell ourselves those stories. Like, I'm a small business. Like, who's really going to come after me? Who's going to find out about me? Why are we chancing it?
Well, I mean, I think it's because we don't know, we don't understand. And that's why my mission, once I became a small business owner, a small business attorney, I realized that a lot of small businesses just needed to be informed. They needed to be educated about the legal stuff, because once they were informed, they're like, oh my gosh, I needed this yesterday. So I very early on, when I had my own law firm, I realized, okay, this isn't a sales problem that I'm having. They need to understand they need this. So a lot of, it's the same transformation that many business owners have, is realizing, hey, there's a disconnect with your messaging. Because this is like, was not planning on going into this, but I remember very early on, I'm like, oh, get this trademark done, get this done, get these contracts done, get this LLC filed. And people would just like scroll past it on social media because they didn't understand why they needed it. So very early on, I switched my messaging to teaching about trademarks, teaching about contracts, teaching about LLCs, because that's when they realize, oh my gosh, I need this. Like, it's not just, oh, she's selling this. No, like, I need what you have.
Yes, because as a small business owner, we don't have law degrees, the vast majority of us. And so it's super intimidating. But it's
Mhm.
just part of being a business owner. You need to learn about these things. You need to learn how to run a business like a business. And I think that's where so many businesses set themselves up for failure from the get-go, is
Yeah.
that they're neglecting to take the time to really learn about
Mhm.
these things that you're doing and teaching about. And that's where you really excel. You do such a
Yeah.
good job in teaching the layperson like myself that doesn't understand any of the legal mumbo jumbo jargon. And you make us understand, okay, this is why, this is what it
Yeah.
means, and this is why it matters. So
Yeah.
thank you so much for doing that because it's
Thank you.
needed.
I really appreciate that. And it's so funny because I just got an email from a client this morning, like literally right before I got on here. We had a phone call yesterday, and she was like, Andrea, thank you so much. Like, you're the first attorney that didn't make me feel stupid, and you really just explained it and dumbed it down for me. And I like, that's what makes me feel good. Like, that's what I love, is having people get that light bulb moment. They're like, oh, like, it doesn't have to be really confusing. Like, it honestly, all this legal stuff really is simple and straightforward, but we've had it like built up, like this legal stuff. It's almost been like, like when you're dating, and for me, becoming a single mom and going to the dating field again, it was like a lot of times I would put men on this pedestal, like these other men on this pedestal, but it's almost like the legal stuff has been on this pedestal. People think it's like this some big great thing. I'm like, no, it's honestly really simple. You just have to truly understand it. It's just like, man, you just gotta understand them and then take them off that pedestal.
That is so good because that analogy, though, it makes sense. We've put legal on this upper echelon because it
Yeah.
does seem, just all the jargon around it.
Mm-hmm.
But I love how you're saying, no, it's really not nearly as complicated
Yeah.
as we're making it out to be. As women, we love to
Yeah.
tell ourselves these stories. We love to
Yeah.
make things overly complicated. I think that's just
Um,
how our brain works.
that is me 100%.
Same. Oh my goodness. So, what was your why? What drove you to really kind of niche down into this area and really help small business owners navigate these processes?
Yeah, so first I started my first business in law school. I had a clothing boutique, and have you heard of Poshmark?
Yeah.
So I was like an OG on Poshmark. I was like, started in 2013. They actually launched December of 2012. I started in 2013, and so I like started selling things on Poshmark, and then it just like transformed. I started flipping clothes from the thrift store. Then I started buying wholesale. I had my own boutique. Then I started manufacturing. Like, I did the whole retail thing, and then that started when I was in law school. But then I realized I didn't want to be in retail forever. And I actually got the, big cushy, big law firm job right out of law school. So that was my dream, was to be a big firm attorney, work my way up to be partner. But because I had that first business, I had a whole network of small business owners, which was beautiful. Like, I 100% believe like the universe does not let anything pass you by that's meant for you. And everything that I've done in my life has led me to the next thing. So I started at the big firm, and I am like living the life. Everything looks so magical from the outside looking in, and I was miserable. I remember the first week I was there. I told you I was in Cincinnati, Ohio, in the tallest building in Cincinnati. I was on the 38th floor. I could watch a Cincinnati Reds game from my office. And I'm a huge baseball fan. So I was like, this is the coolest thing ever, watching a Reds game. But I remember the first week it hit me. I was like sitting there watching all these old men in three-piece suits walking by my office. And I was like, oh my gosh, they've been here since they were my age. I was like, I cannot sit in this chair for the next 40 years of my life. There's absolutely no way I can do this. And very very early, I was just like, oh my gosh, how do I get out of this? But my now ex-husband, he was staying home with our son, who was 8 months old when I started that job. He started staying home as soon as I started working. And of course, it's like, how do I go home and tell him I'm miserable? I want to quit. And I luckily started having a lot of those small business owners come to me and asking for help. And they normally couldn't afford the firm's rates, but then ultimately the firm didn't want to serve them, because I had a lot of people trying to come to the firm and they're like, we don't want small businesses. Like, they are not quality clients. And it was really insulting, because I was like, this is me. Like, you're telling me that I'm not quality. And so that was I literally had a partner tell me to my face, like, we don't want small businesses. They're not quality clients. And that was it for me. And I feel like a lot of people have these defining moments in their life. And 100% that was it. I was like, this is not it for me. And that was, I think that was February or March of 2018. And at the end of April 2018, I launched Andrea Sager Law, and I started serving small businesses. At that point, I knew they needed trademarks, contracts, LLC filings. So I was really just going based off of what they were coming to me at the firm for. And I finally told them, like, hey, I'm finally on my own. And I remember it was a Friday. I went home that night and I posted in some Facebook groups, and I had my first client, and it was really exciting. It was not, I mean, it wasn't immediate, just like through the roof, making all kinds of money, but it was just very validating that, okay, somebody does need my services. And it was really validating knowing that, hey, I was right in my gut instinct. Like, I'm going to make money. Like, I'm going to be the one to go and serve these small businesses. And what's really funny, about a year ago, I was sitting in my house, and back in 2018, when I was at the big firm, I had just like a daydream where I was like, man, that would be so cool if I could be the go-to attorney for small businesses. And about a year ago, I remember I was sitting in my house. I was like, holy shit. Like, I am that person now. Like, this is so exciting. Like, I am that person.
Oh my gosh, that is just such an incredible story. And that just like has me all fired up for you. Yes,
Yeah.
because you are that person now.
Mm-hmm.
You took that situation and demanded better for yourself, because so often we go through life checking the boxes.
Yeah.
We're just going through the motions and doing our thing. And then we stop and we look around and we're going, what the hell am I doing? Like, this just
Exactly.
doesn't make any sense. And
Yeah.
it's just really having the courage then to push through and lean into what you truly know you are
Yeah.
meant to do, because so often we don't.
Yeah, oh my gosh, yes. And honestly, what's so sad, like my husband and I are no longer together. We've been separated for 2.5 years now, or I mean, we've been not together for 2.5 years. And what's so sad is, like, I think as of lately, I've been coming into more and more realizing, like, very few people actually do live out their purpose. And that was my ex-husband. Like, was he had so much potential, and quite frankly, it's wasted, because he's just one of those ones that just wants to live safe. And and me, I'm like, hell no. Like, we're here for one life. We're gonna make everything happen. Like, we're going after everything.
Yeah, yeah, because same. I mean, I lived safe for 16 plus years of my career. You go to school for a
Yeah.
long time, you get a piece of paper that tells you, all right, you're qualified to do this one job. And no, it was in finally going, what am I doing? That I
Yeah.
finally started living. And you know what?
Yeah.
It's not easy being a business owner. I would not trade this for the world.
Oh, me either. I mean,
Oh my
I'll
gosh.
be very transparent. So when I had my law firm, I was towards the end of 2021, or December 2021, we decided to be done with the law firm to go all in with legalpreneur. And being 100% honest, I was working maybe 20 hours a week, making $1 million a year. And I thought it was going to be so easy to transition to legalpreneur. And it's been a struggle. Like the past few months have been the worst financially for me than ever before. But that being said, I would choose to be here a million times over instead of being back there at the law firm making a million. Like, I had no purpose. I was like, it was almost, I was burned out. I wasn't fulfilled anymore. And a lot of it was also my identity from my marriage was so tied to the law firm. So that was a lot of it too. But where we are now, it's like we're building this foundation for this to grow and scale to be a huge startup. But I would choose to be here and have the least amount of money I've ever had in my entire life than to be back anywhere else.
Oh my gosh, I can totally relate to that because, even my parents were like, why are you walking away from
Mm-hmm.
a career that you went to school for a long time from? It's giving you a nice living. And
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, the first quarter of 2023, I didn't have that great of income, but that's okay. Like, I
Yep.
am more fulfilled. I am more present as a mom. I'm less
Yeah.
reactive. Like, I'm
Yep.
actually getting to see my kids. Like, this is
Yeah.
amazing. Just the fact that I can be there with them. Like, I'm not going to be able to buy back this time.
Nope.
So it's truly incredible to me. And I know that, it's early on. I made a massive pivot a year ago, and it's just the building. And now that
Yeah.
I'm in it full time, I mean, it's growing. And just when you
Yeah.
finally like detach from the outcome, it is insane what starts happening and then the traction you get. And it's like, it's just that consistent action. But I love how you touched upon it because we forget that we all have to start out as beginners. We all have to
Yeah.
start out at ground zero.
Yeah. Yeah. I love that you also have made the transition because it I think it's really been the past few weeks where I really have come to just understand and realize like very few people live out their purpose on this earth.
Yeah.
And I I I just keep telling myself like we're on the right path.
Yeah.
I'm not like there's nothing else I would rather be doing. I would not want to go back because I in the law firm I just felt like I was hustling, always hustling for the next dollar. And now, and if you, I had was not planning to get into all this, but doing a lot of healing after my marriage, I've very much been an overachiever my entire life, and through my healing after my marriage, I realized like yes, I've been very successful. I've hit all these accomplishments, but everything that I have done has been to earn the love of someone else. And once I realized that, I made that connection, I did the healing, I realized like legalpreneur, I'm doing that because I want to do it. I'm doing it because I love myself. I'm doing it because this is what I desire to do. And I know this is my life's purpose.
Yeah. Doesn't that just feel so good when
Yeah.
you
I just got
know?
goosebumps.
I know. It's like I feel the same way. And it was in, working in that career. It was in starting and growing a business to exactly where I wanted it to be, to the point where I
Mm-hmm.
was financially able to walk away from my career, but
It's
like
beautiful.
something didn't feel right. So
Yeah.
then, like you did, walking away from that and diving full force
Yeah.
into this full time. I mean, it feels good. But yeah, I've
Yeah.
been in the same place. Just, the overachiever, I always needed that external validation that,
Yep.
okay, wow, you got good grades. Great. It was always
Yeah.
this, that, and the other. And now I realize, like, wow,
Yeah.
no, it's just me versus me. It's what I care
Yeah.
about myself. Isn't it crazy in becoming a business
Yeah.
owner? The flippant amount of personal development that like and mindset that goes into it.
Yeah.
It's like, what the heck? I was
And
not expecting this.
I'm curious for you as a mom, how has it changed your experience as a mom? Because I know for me, like parenting my kids, I like, especially my daughter who just turned 4. When I'm parenting, I don't see my 4-year-old daughter. I see my 4-year-old self And
Yeah.
it's the most beautiful thing. I'm like, how did I want to be parented when I was her age?
Yeah. I mean, it's a game changer.
Yeah.
It was almost scary in a way at first too, because it's like, oh my gosh, I really I screwed this up. And, the one day I remember last week, she brought home a gold star from school and she was just so proud of it. And I'm like, hey, that is amazing. But I want you to always remember you're not always going to get a gold star. As long
Yeah.
as you're trying your best, you're putting in the work, I'm still going to love you no matter if you get that gold
Yes.
star or not. Like, as long as you are just living your life, trying
Hmm.
your best, being a good person, that's what matters. We don't
Yes.
need somebody else to tell us that we're worthy. When we really dive down and know that we're worthy inside and do that inner work, it's freeing and it's
It
amazing.
is. I know. And that honestly, that I think that's my biggest challenge right now is teaching that to the kids.
It's
And I
hard.
know like it's so hard. Like that's the hardest thing for me right now is and now like having, they're in two different homes. So I can only do so much. Like I can only do half of their parenting and I know that they don't get the same parenting with their dad, so that it's really tough. But that I know that I'll never be able to do it full time because their dad, like he's a good dad. Not like he's very present, but it's hard to instill the beliefs that you want to instill in them when you only have 50% of their time.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. Being a mompreneur is full of challenges and unexpected twists and turns, but just knowing that you're not alone in the
Yeah.
journey, that there are other women going through exactly
Yeah.
what we are going through, navigating it all, doing it scared, doing it messy, and just
Yeah.
trusting in the process. It's it's powerful just
It
knowing
is.
that.
It
So
is.
well, Andrea, thank you so much. This was incredible. We totally took a U-turn
Yeah,
from the
we
direction I
did.
thought we were going, but I think it was so important though, in just
Yeah.
showing that follow your passion, follow
Yeah.
what lights you up. If you are not happy, you can make the choice to make a change. I
Yep.
just talked about this on my stories this morning. It is so important because we only have this one life.
Mm-hmm.
Stop chasing and it all works out
Yep.
beautifully. Well, you are doing some exciting things coming up here next week. So tell us
Yes.
all about those.
Yes. I know we didn't get to talk too much legal because we took a U-turn.
We did.
But this week we have 2 free trainings coming up. It's all about trademarks and social media, how to make sure that you are staying clear of infringement, and how to actually get your trademarks registered on your own. It's an incredible training. We've done this several times, but we're only doing it for certain audiences this time around. And so if you have an opportunity to be there, I definitely would show up. So what we do is I teach about trademarks and then we do live Q&A. So definitely, if you're able to make one of the trainings, please come.
Oh my gosh, amazing. And then tell us about your book.
So my book is Legalpreneur, the Business Owner's Guide to Legally Protecting Your Business. And this was actually done because of my kids. When I left their dad, I was very intentional and I said, I want to be a better mom. Not that I was a bad mom, I just wanted to
Sure.
be more intentional. And I wanted to be the mom that showed my kids they could do anything they wanted. I didn't want to just tell them they can do anything they wanted. And at the end of 2021, I realized that I was not showing them because I had this book on my mind for a long time. And I was actually on my first solo vacation ever in Mexico. And I was doing a lot of just, when you're alone with your thoughts,
Yeah, yeah.
it was a lot of that. And I was like, oh, dang it. Like, I'm not showing them. And so I literally went back. And by the end of December, I had started writing the book. And then in January of 2023, it finally got released. And it's a great book. I've actually had, so it's called Legalpreneur, the Business Owner's Guide to Legally Protecting Your Business. So a lot of people think it's just like this legal book, but in the past few weeks, I've had so many people reach out and they're trying to not insult me. They're like, it's actually really good. And I know exactly what they mean because they're just thinking it's all just like legal, 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 but there's stories in there with like woven in there to be a good read. It's not just like, hey, this is what you need to do. This is what you need. It's actually a good book. So if you can get it, I would highly suggest it. You can get it on Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, anywhere online that you buy your books, it is available.
What a huge accomplishment. Andrea, you are just such a shining example of just leaning into it and embracing the journey and what you were doing. Just, it's paving the path for so many other women. So thank you for being a resource for us. Thank you
Thank you.
for being that guide to help us navigate this. So where can we find you online?
Yeah, so I love TikTok. I'm obsessed with TikTok at the Legalpreneur. Also on Instagram, we have the Legalpreneur account. My personal account is at Andrea Sager Law, and we're on Facebook. We have a podcast. But yeah, lots of free resources out there already online.
Yes, and her contract vault, if you need contracts, if you are not using contracts in your business, make sure you grab those. They're
Yes.
so reasonably priced for, just all of the
Yeah.
nitty-gritty stuff in our businesses that we forget about.
Mhm.
So that's an awesome resource. Attend the free training, learn about legal. You don't
Yes.
need to be scared about legal. So,
Yes.
Andrea, thank you so much for taking time out of your day to talk with us.
Thank you. This was fun.
Yes, it sure was. And until next time, stop dreaming and start taking messy action. You've got this. Are you loving what you're hearing? Do us a favor and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode.